An AI can't go to jail, it can't get fired. You know how painful it is. It comes and replaces everybody's jobs and we all just get to play all day. I mean, I wouldn't be mad about it. That I can pick up the phone and call a CEO that's running $1 billion company. I'm Liz Connolly. I've sold $500 million worth of meals at my company that I founded, Trifecta. All right, so here's the Reddit post. Why don't companies replace CEOs with AI? I just had my company's quarterly all-hands meeting. In it, the CEO and IT VP talked about a new council to work on integrating AI into our work. This part is good, but then they talked about every department having to justify any new hiring if the job or responsibilities could be done with current headcount along with AI. I wonder why they never think to see if a C-level job could be replaced this way. Seems like their jobs would be perfect for replacement for two reasons. Firstly, all they do is react to incoming data based on market and customer trends. And second, it would cut the most overhead due to their compensation levels. If companies are really looking for cost cutting through AI, I think this would be plan A. In order to talk this through, I think we need to have some context about what does a CEO actually do? That was other threads that I saw on Reddit was like, I can't find an actual explanation of what the heck they do with their time, which is very valid because they do so many different things. It is kind of hard to put it into a box. So I'm gonna start there. So one of the first things that is really critical that a CEO does is they're accountable to their team, to shareholders, to regulators. You know, we've got to make sure they're doing everything legally, stuff like that. And I think this obviously doesn't translate over to an AI. Maybe this person's being facetious in their post, but I think what they're getting at is like how much of what a CEO does can be automated or could be AI. And I think to some extent, yes, you can absolutely do some of the research that a CEO would do, and we do use it often to augment ourselves. But let's talk through, okay, accountability. That CEO has to be held accountable by those folks, and that's just today not possible for an AI. An AI can't go to jail, it can't get fired, it really just can't be, quote, held accountable. And so, you know, I think of people like Elizabeth Holmes as one of the most famous examples where I actually read Bad Blood. It was such a good book. Couldn't recommend it more. But basically, she's the one who raised a bunch of money and she made it seem like her product was working when in fact it wasn't. So it was very fraudulent the way that she was raising this capital and the way that she was working with partners and bringing them on, and then ultimately the way she was working with consumers. So end to end, what she was doing was really, really bad, and we needed to be able to hold her accountable. We sent her to jail, and ultimately if that was some AI, like what's the repercussion there and how do we prevent it from happening again? Because we're not just handling that one person when we do what we did with Elizabeth Holmes. Yes, we are handling her from being able to do this again. Also really scaring other people off from doing the shit that she did. I don't want to go commit fraud and then end up in jail. You know, it doesn't take Elizabeth Holmes to teach me that, but some folks, that's going to be a deterrent for them. And so we have to realize, you know, there is this huge gap of accountability that just hasn't been bridged yet with AI and real humans. Another really important factor that a CEO brings to their role is inspiring folks. So they're inspiring their team, they're inspiring, at least hopefully, they're inspiring consumers, they're inspiring partners, investors. I mean, there's a lot of inspiration and vision that goes into running a company. It is a job, it is important, it can't be overlooked. And at least in my experience, I've never had AI inspire me. So they're setting that 10x goal that is very, sometimes feels unrealistic to the team, but is very inspirational. And they're setting the strategy of how to get there. And they may not know every little detail within the company, but the overarching strategy is really important to make sure that the company works well. And if you've ever been part of a company that didn't have a clear strategy, you know how painful it is to be trying to operate within a confusing or just not clear strategy. It makes everything that you do in a day extremely hard to prioritize, to weigh against the other things that you could be doing. So I think while it could be taken for granted to set the vision and strategy, it is so critical to everything that actually happens on a day-to-day within a company. A big part of our strategy at Trifecta, for example, is working with athletes, sports organizations, diet partners. That's very core to who we are at Trifecta. Now, AI can't go set up those partnerships and make sure that we're treating them really well and that they're getting what they need, and all of that is very relationship based. And at least at Trifecta, we spent a lot of time on that running the company. We also had people within the company handling some of that as well, but I think those relationships are really critical, especially when we're talking multi-million-dollar deals like I'm talking about. You want to talk to the CEO at that point. You don't want to be talking to a BDR on the team. Like, this is a really important, critical strategy rollout, and you want to make sure you have it dialed in. Investors, of course, you're not going to be able to raise capital or talk to your investors with just AI. That wouldn't make sense. It can absolutely help. Like, I'm not arguing that it shouldn't augment it, because it should. Maybe it can help create the investor deck. Maybe it can help send updates to your investors so that you don't have to grab information from here and there and then send it over to them. Maybe that's automated. So absolutely, it's definitely helping and augmenting these things, but at the end of the day, relationships really matter. It's like the age-old saying where people are like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. The same thing goes at the top level, like a CEO. It's important that I can pick up the phone and call a CEO that's running $1 billion company and he can help me out with what I'm working on. Like, that stuff matters, and I think oftentimes we overlook that as just not a big deal. Relationships with the team are super important as well. You're keeping them motivated, keeping them engaged, or pushing them to make sure they increase their performance and do the best job that they can. You're working with them on what their goals are. So not just how are they helping the business goals, but what are their goals? And so when you are going to hire and you need to find folks, it's really important what relationships you have. When you have somebody on your team, it's really important that you have a good relationship with them. They're gonna go above and beyond for you if you have that good relationship and they believe in you. I'm not gonna go above and beyond for an AI agent, right? That just doesn't, like, why would I? There's no motivation. Whereas, maybe I care what the CEO thinks, or maybe I want to get promoted, so it's important to me to show that I go above and beyond. Those types of things can be very relationship based, and we shouldn't overlook them. The last thing is that AI lacks the lived experience and nuance that a CEO has. So a big part of what we bring to the role is past experiences that we've grown a product or we've started a previous company. We've seen patterns play out across industries, across roles over years in the market. We can really see things with a lot of clarity because of it. Elon Musk is a great example. Obviously, he's had a bunch of companies and still does, and he's taking stuff from the different companies that he's learned and bringing it to other companies. He's also taking people from the different companies and bringing them in where he needs them. SpaceX is a really good example. He's learned all these engineering lessons there that he's now pulled over to Tesla, and it's allowed him to make this very complex software and hardware integration because of so many learnings from SpaceX. So at the end of the day, no, I don't think AI is coming for CEOs' jobs anytime soon. We're absolutely augmenting with it. It's helping automate part of our roles. It's saving us a ton of time and oftentimes a lot of money. So I think there's so much value there. And you know, honestly, if it comes and replaces everybody's jobs and we all just get to play all day, I mean, I wouldn't be mad about it. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you liked this video and you want to see more about AI for CEOs, take a second to subscribe.